Here's the build process of my latest Gourd Banjo, and the person who commissioned this one was actually my grandpa, and he commissioned it for the son-in-law of one of his really good childhood friends in Pennsylvania. So that made this a special build, and I was really happy with how it turned out. Here's the gourd I'm using. I soaked it in water for a little while. When they first come from the farm, they're pretty dirty, and they have this sort of layer of mold or something on them. This sort of outer layer that you have to get off to reveal that nice gourd color underneath. I've been using a combination of like these little razor blades to scrape it off, these little wire brushes. You can use, I think the best thing to use is really coarse steel wool, but I just didn't have any of that on hand. Then I use these two saws to open up the gourd. Someday I need to make some sort of a jig to help me do this, but for now this seems to work. And then I clean it up a little bit, get it all even. Then I have a wire brush at the end of the drill, and I use that to really clean out the inside of the gourd. There's a lot of just like the old guts of the seeds and the guts of the gourd that all kind of are dried out in there, and they need to come out. The last time I was back in New York, I packaged up this wood and had it shipped out here, and I'm just cutting into it now for the first time, because for this particular instrument I want to use wood that I got from my grandpa, and he got this cherry from his friend John Schwartzentruber, who's a really great Amish woodworker that lives in my hometown, and he and my grandpa know each other pretty well, so he'll give me really good deals on wood. And this is cherry here, and it has a bark inclusion. I'll get more into detail about the bark inclusion later. And then I'm taking some wenge. I think cherry and wenge look really great together. You can see the bark inclusion. It almost has like a bird's eye pattern. And this usually happens when like two trunks of a tree start growing together and the bark kind of just gets sucked up into the wood and just becomes a part of the wood. And sometimes it creates this very nice sort of bird's eye pattern. It's not bird's eye, but similar, and it's more unique kind of. You'll see this a lot in like common boards like pine that you'll see at the hardware store, but to see it in hardwood is a lot rarer. Or it might not be very rare, but I don't see it very often. I think it's not necessarily prized. Now, usually when people start playing the gourd banjo, they've already been playing the regular style banjo for a while, and they decide they want to get a gourd to sort of supplement their other instrument. But in this case, the recipient of this does not play the banjo, but he does play guitar. So to make things a little easier on him, I'm going to put frets on this one. I don't usually do frets. I usually make gourd banjos fretless, but I hadn't put frets on one in quite a while, and it actually went very smoothly this time. Once I get all the slots cut out, just start laying in the fret wire. I'm really making sure they're all seated all the way down. You don't want any gaps or anything under the fret wire. And then I just glue them in with a little dab of super glue on the ends of the frets. That way they can be removed easily in the future if it ever needs a refret or anything. I'm dressing the edges here. I take most of the material off with this fret leveling file, and then I go in with a smaller file to clean it all up. This is a fret rocker, so I'm able to see if any frets are uneven. I put it across 3 frets, and if it rocks, then the middle fret is too high. So I mark that with a Sharpie and make sure that we take care of that. This is a fret leveling file from StewMac, which I paid way too much money for, just like everything on StewMac, and I don't even really like it that much. I've actually found it much more effective to level the frets the same way I level the fingerboard, which is just taking it over to my flat marble surface with sandpaper and just sanding it down on coarse grit sandpaper. Yeah, the frets are perfectly level after I do that for just a couple minutes, not even. So here are the frets. They're all nasty looking after that 80 grit sandpaper. I take my diamond fret crowning file and just recrown those frets, and then I sand them up through the grits. and get them really as nice and polished as I can. I'm not one of those guys that's getting a mirror finish on my frets, but I get them pretty nice and polished. I hit them with this buffing wheel just as a final step. And I'm finishing the whole thing with a couple coats of tongue oil. That tongue oil really is making it pop, and you can see how nice that bark inclusion is looking. It's such an interesting, unique kind of wood, and this is a really beautiful piece of cherry even without that bark inclusion. I have a lot more neck blanks of this kind of cherry with the bark inclusion, so I'm excited to make more of these. I just think it looks so good with the wenge too. I don't like to fiberglass the gourds anymore, but this time I decided to put a little fiberglass reinforcement just around the dowel stick holes. Just want to play it extra safe, and I'm glad I did. Just peace of mind, I guess. I'm doing just a standard kind of F-style sound hole on this to match the minstrel style peg head. I just use these relief carving chisels now to, they actually push, the gourd is pretty soft, so they actually just push right through the gourd, and I don't like to use like a Dremel. I know a lot of people use a Dremel. I've not mastered the Dremel yet. It really intimidates me, so maybe someday I'll dial in the dremeling, but for now this works really well. Just clean it up with rasps and sandpaper, and yeah, it ends up looking really good. This is a full-size, nice spotted goat skin from Motherland Music in Inglewood. It's a great place. They import all of their goat skins from West Africa. I just give that a little bath for about 20-30 minutes until it's really soft and pliable. And yeah, I didn't film much more. I kind of dropped the ball. I didn't film any of the skinning the head. But here's the tailpiece going on. Here's the nut going on. I'm stringing it up for the first time. You can see that real nice spotted head is looking great on there. Okay, you can see it's not up to tension yet. So you can see the neck angle kind of in action here, because right here it's pretty far above the, and then here it's actually making contact. So that's a pretty good neck angle, and once it's brought up to tension, the tension of the strings will pull this headstock, and it'll even this all out. So it should end up looking about like this once it's brought up to tension. And the way I achieve that is just taking see how much there's like, this hole is set in from the rim of the gourd, you know, X amount. I just set this hole a little bit closer to the rim of the gourd. Pretty simple. If I did a good job with my frets, there won't be any buzzing. But there probably is going to be some buzzing. No buzz. Whew. Wow, this is unprecedented. This is the first time I've ever gotten it on my first try. No way. And the final thing to do now that it's mostly set up is make a bridge at the proper height. And I've experimented with a lot of different material for bridges. I've used a lot of different types of wood, and they're really, for a nylon stringed banjo, nothing beats maple. I don't know what it is, but nothing is as good as maple. There's just something about it. But yeah, I took it outside and played it for a little while, and here's a few minutes of that. Thank you for watching.
one time I nail it, the wind goes crazy. I mean, I didn't even nail it. The one time I don't mess up, the wind goes crazy. That was my car. That was me. I was like, who messed up my shot? It was me.